Control, disrespect, vulnerability. These might be words that come to mind when you think about the relationship between classes in an Inspector Calls. It is clear that throughout the play there is major inequality between the upper class and the working class. And the way that the upper class looks down on the working class highlights the division in society in 1912. Let's look a bit further into how Priestley explores the relationship between classes. Priestley uses Eva Smith to represent the working class as a whole, rather than just one person, which is proven when the inspector says, "There are millions and millions and millions of Eva Smiths and John Smiths still left with us." Throughout Inspector Calls, Eva Smith is shown as vulnerable and desperate, and Eric takes advantage of this. Eric is selfish because of Eva's vulnerability, and therefore gains control over her. Eric claims that he was rather far gone when he enters Eva's lodgings, despite Eva telling him that she didn't want him to go in. Eric avoids saying that he sexually assaulted Eva, and instead says, "It happened." He uses euphemism to avoid his selfish actions from sounding too significant. This proves that people of a higher class sometimes take advantage of the working class, which shows selfishness and control. These characteristics are key factors in the relationship between classes in Inspector Calls. Priestley explores division in society more than once in the play. Not only are the lower classes looked down on by the higher class, but also mistreated and disrespected. Mrs. Burling says, "Girls of that class," and as if a girl of that sort would ever refuse money, when referring to Eva, suggesting she has clear preconceptions about working class girls, and she believes that working class girls lack morals and will always accept money. Mrs. Burling uses othering to separate Eva Smith and the working class, as she sees Eva different from her. Mrs. Burling feels that her social status entitles her to different treatment to other classes. This is compounded when Sheila says, "You mustn't try to build up a kind of wall between us and that girl," which reaffirms the division in society. In Inspector Calls, Priestley shows that people of a higher class, for example Mr. Burling, don't understand the realities in life of someone in a less fortunate position than them. Eva Smith was described as in a position with no work, no money coming in, and living in lodgings, with no relatives to help her, few friends, lonely, half-starved, and feeling desperate. Mr. Burling especially doesn't understand this, because right after Eva and a few others were sacked from their jobs after going on strike for a slightly higher pay, he says they could go and work somewhere else. However, he doesn't realise that this might not be possible, and he doesn't understand the situation Eva Smith might be in, because he is used to having plenty of opportunities and is ignorant about the realities in life. Mr. Burling doesn't realise that his actions could have been costly to these people who might be desperate for work to provide income for their families. Mr. Burling also says, "If you don't come down hard on these people, they'll soon be asking for the world." By saying this, he tries to make their requests seem unreasonable, and he doesn't seem to think that just a slightly higher pay might make a big difference in these people's lives. So if we think back to all the points I've made about the relationship between classes in the play, the main points to remember is that we must support one another. After all, the inspector does say, "We are members of one body, we are responsible for each other." Also suggesting that we should not build walls between each other and accept everyone as part of a community. Please remember to respect and watch out for each other, as it can make a change for the better. Take the inspector's advice and don't be Mr. Burling in a world full of Eva Smiths. Thank you.